So, shall we talk just briefly on what is a Shiva Lingam? Because it's a very interesting. See, first of all, we need to know what the words Shiva mean and what the word Lingam means. The word Shiva actually means auspicious. All that is good, all that is conscious, all that is aware. Technically, it means auspicious consciousness. Yogis, whenever we say Shiva, we mean auspicious consciousness. Whenever something bad happens, you are supposed to say Shiva Shiva. You see something bad and you're supposed to say Shiva Shiva, because the word has so much Shakti that it cancels out the negative vibration of what has happened. So the word Shiva is not one wild fellow wearing tiger skin and growing out jata and dancing like a crazy person. The word Shiva is the auspicious consciousness that has crystallized into a guy who is the Adi Yogi, the first yogi, and the Adi Guru, the first Guru. So you must distinguish between the image and form of Shiva, which is much less than the vibration that is Shiva. And Lingam actually means ling. The word ling actually means mark. It means sign, chinna. Whatever is a mark or a sign, whatever distinguishes one thing from the other is the ling, which is why the word ling is also used as a synonym for genders. Striling, pulling, yes, that it's a Sanskrit is a what is known as a polysemous language. Polysemous means one word has multiple meanings. So Sanskrit, there is one verse of Kalidasa which has been interpreted some 36 different ways. So you can do those wonderful things with Sanskrit because each word has a different kind of vibration. So the ling means the distinguishing mark or sometimes the differentiating mark. Now, all embryos when they are born, they are female, yes? Then over time there is certain chemical reaction, and that's when, so the male is always like a next generation, and there is secondary sexual characteristic which then became called as the lingam and all those kind of things. But fundamentally, when they were working with Shiva Lingams, originally in the Vedic times and the Upanishadic times, we are talking 5,000, 6,000 years back, there were no such thing as Shiva Lingams. We had something different. We had what was called the Upasthamba. The Upasthamba technically means the sacrificial pillar. Whenever you would do a havan, you would have this one centralized pillar or post. And then all the rituals, all the sacred energy work used to be done around that. The totem pole is basically the same idea. The Indians have the totem pole, that's basically the same idea, though they don't seem to know the chakra theory as well as we do. But yes, there is a sort of central gathering point or a central focus for the entire yagna, for the entire sacred ritual. That also yogis know, which is not normally told, but I don't see any reason to conceal it. It's not like it's such a great earth-shattering secret. That totem pole or that upasthamba is basically your spine. It's basically you. You are at every moment the center of the universe. The upasthamba is what is known in Western mysticism as axis mundi, the axis of the world. You are, because you are a conscious being, you are in essence Shiva, you are the axis of the world, and that axis is found in your spine. It's not found in your physical spine, it's found in your energy body. So when they would create that Upasthamba, they were actually creating a axis of energy. Not only that, they would have all the chakras. So later on, yogis, because they were always experimenting with materials, yogis found that certain materials, it is very easy to leave that energy locked in permanently. One of them is mercury. Mercury is a very unique material because in yoga we know that we can bring it to consciousness. We can actually evolve it from its metal origins, its mineral origins, bring it to the consciousness of a plant, then an animal, then a human being, and you can keep evolving Mercury till it becomes enlightened. And then they make Shiva Lingams out of that Mercury. Now that's a very complex process. No, that's only the spine is made of. In the in the place where they have the bath, they have a metal thing, but it's underwater. In near Pune, Hamsa Yoga Sadgurunath has made one room temperature. It's a 1 ton of mercury has been solidified. So it's a very complex process. You need sulfur, you need silica, you need sand, and you need Ayurvedic herbs, and you need mantras. Then you can solidify mercury at room temperature, and it doesn't melt in the heat. But basically what they can do with that, they found out that you can create what is for all intents and purposes a fully enlightened and liberated yogi with none of the problems of being incarnate in a human body, none of the personality weaknesses, none of the good points, the bad points, and that energy can be locked permanently. The lingam is only a scaffolding. You can actually take away the lingam and the energy form remains. And also the ellipsoid, all true lingams are ellipsoids. The ellipsoid is in many ways, most galaxies that they end up elliptical. The ellipsoid is a natural way that nature organizes itself. Yeah, cells also, the ellipsoid seems to be the most natural way that the raw undifferentiated consciousness, when being starts becoming, then the first form that emerges seems to be the ellipsoid, and that form is called Shiva. That form, for whatever reasons, it's called Shiva. The process of doing that Shakti is the way, the energy that works out. So if you get stuck with form, now that's very beautiful, it's a dancing Ganpati, but we must realize that for all its beauty, all its power, all the damn good things that you can do with it, in the end it is a limitation. So the ellipsoid. On the other hand, trying to worship, trying to develop a relationship with something that is formless is not a very helpful thing. It leads to a lot of frustration, because when you say formless also, you are still not really thinking formless. You're thinking sky, you're thinking night sky with stars, you're thinking ocean, you're thinking desert. You're thinking, you cannot really think formless. It's very arrogant to say that we worship or we relate with the formless. Not really. Not really. So this was a sort of compromise. This was a sort of compromise in yoga, that since you need a locus, you need a focus for your attention, for your sadhana, for your devotion, let's create, which is why Shiva was never worshipped in a murti form. Today, of course, everybody is doing it, but fundamentally that's a mistake. Yeah. Shiva was never worshipped in a murti form. Then, as they discovered that stone is again something that you can put a lot of energy into stone and the energy remains, consciousness remains, feeling remains, ki remains. Yeah, stone is very absorbent. Stone is tremendously absorbent. Wood is very useful, but wood is very fragile. Wood is prone to crack, wood decays, stone endures. So that is why the temples were made of stone, because they were ways of creating energy and storing it permanently. In Kerala, all the temples are still made of wood. They are still made of wood, because wood also has that absorbent quality. But wood is dicey. So over time they gave up on wooden murtis, though some really good ones are still made. Then the devotional aspect became very strong, so all the gods were given forms, and that became. But originally it was very clear, and the Vaishnavites use it as a shaligram. Their version of the Shiva Lingam is the shaligram, but it is the same idea. It is fundamentally the same idea. Most of the shaligrams are not shaligrams; they are actually emeralds which are coated with a special lip, They actually, the ancient traditional shaligrams are either emeralds or diamonds. They are some of the largest stones in the world. Some some chappie in South India, Karnataka, I think it was. He had discovered that, and he scraped it away, and he discovered that he has the collection of the largest precious stones in the world. And he taught himself to cut gems because you can't even take it to a store or something. So he's now filthy rich, but that's another story.
Shiv Lingas are supposed to be Swayambhu? Supposed to come
Not
out
necessary,
from
you can construct one. Even if it is a Swayambhu Shiva Lingam, that is just the raw material. Usually the Shiva Lingam is made with stones that come from the Narmada, because there is something in the vibration. The Narmada river, there is something in the vibration of the stones there, and lots and lots and lots of yogis for 5,000 years have meditated up and down the Narmada, so their energy is in the water, in the sand.
The stone that has different colors.
Yeah. All those have different purposes. Then yogis kept experimenting.
It's interesting that you're finally saying it's energy. It's energy which
The
is
stone is not
involved.
needed. The Shiva Lingam can be destroyed, but the energy construct is eternal. You
There are
don't
these
need that.
temples. My village in Kerala, I come from a village where the Shiva Linga is Swayambhu. It's supposed to have come. So I must go back.
See, all Sthala Puranas are basically very pious and devout lies.
No, but they have this
every
12
place,
No,
every
they have,
place.
They have these 12 places,
Yeah.
all over India where it is supposed
Jyotirlingams,
to have come.
yeah.
Jyotirlinga, that's one of them. So,
Yeah, I know. You will be surprised how many places claim to be the Jyotirlingam. I did a collation. I found there are about 172 which claim to be part of the 12 Jyotirlingams. So, yeah. Most of the Sthala Puranams, as they are called, the origin story, those are just pious lies. Yogis get very angry. But what to do? That is something that has happened. They are just very, very pious lies. You cannot take a stone unless the stone has been placed by a yogi and it was lost. You cannot just take a stone and say this is Shiva Lingam. Certain very deep energetic processes have to be made. You have to create 6 fully functioning chakras, actually more. And then that energy form has to be. After that, you can take a hammer and break the stone if you want. But it's not recommended because it's just like the scaffolding to erect the building. The energy is the important thing. So then they discovered deeper things. They discovered that the Shiva Shakti vibration is essentially an erotic vibration, which is why the Shiva Lingam used to be in what is called the yoni base. Yeah, you see it in the yoni base. But all the Shiva Lingams are not originally in yoni base. They used to be in the tattva base. It is always a square. It's always a square, and all the 5 tattvas, earth, water, fire, air, the Shuddhikaran is done there and there. So depending on, and then there would be what were called Mukhalingams. They would put faces on the lingams. Yeah. Then there would be Kundalini lingams. There would be lingams with the Kundalini at the base. Jaggi has made that. He's made this huge serpent in copper.
below the.
At the base. At the base. The huge copper serpent. Gigantic. So there are the minute you look at a lingam, the minute you look at the lingam, you know the purpose for which it is being used. The minute you look at the shape, the kind of lingam, Mukhalingam hai. Mukhalingam, if it is a Mukhalingam, how many faces? If it is a Kundalini lingam, then one certain type of. If it is a yoni, in the yoni base, then another kind of. Now if it is a yoni base, you got to be very careful. You cannot cut across the mouth of the yoni. Most people do that. So in many temples, they actually seal off that area because people just cut across. It shatters you. I mean, the kind of negative things that will happen to you if you do that. So this is a very sort of complex, but the Shiva Lingam actually means, in literal Sanskrit terms, Shiva Lingam means this is a mark, this is a sign, this is a symbol of auspicious consciousness. Yes? This is one of the mudras also, yes? Yeah. You can make a Shiva Lingam like this also. But then you have your own bodily limitations, the energy dissipates. Whereas if you make it in stone, whereas if you make it in crystal, whereas if you make it in mercury lingams are always the most powerful. Mercury lingams by far are always the most powerful. But most of what are called Parat, parat,
Para.
parat. It's basically alchemy, it's basically rasayana. It's the word for it is rasayana. So they do many things with it. They know how to reverse aging by using mercury. All kinds of awesome stuff can be done. But it's I've seen it. I've seen it before my eyes. I've seen a yogi do it before my eyes. He would experiment. His white beard he'd turn black. Then he'd leave it in strands, and it wasn't dye because he did it right in front of my eyes. And then after that he said, "Waste of time. Let it be." But it can be done. So they have what is called the kaya kalp. You can rejuvenate yourself. I have gone many times on Shivratri and he mixes mercury with the bhang and gives it to us. We are all supposed to be dead, but we are not because they know what to do so that the poison in the mercury goes and but that can be done only on Shivratri. You can't do it on any other nights.
You have reached a higher levels of consciousness with that.
Yes, of course. I wouldn't be
That's
sitting
worth
here.
experimenting.
I don't recommend it. When you go into these kind of, especially tantric side, you be prepared to die or insanity. That is the price. You will have to be prepared to die at any moment. So I don't recommend it. There are much simpler sadhanas. Why do you want to get into this complexity?
I used to read that Agoda.
Yeah, everybody reads. It seems to be. He's one of my favorite guys also. I've even gone to his temple in Pune, where he used to go to the temple in Pune. It's a very interesting Shiv Lingam. The Shiv Lingam is loose. You can slide the Shiv Lingam away from the base. So what they do is, in a katora, they put little sweets, like sandesh, and you ask the question, will this happen or no? And they'll put it into the hollow, and they'll cover it with the Shiv Lingam, and they wait for some time. And you actually hear now, whether it's rats or snakes or I don't know what, you slide it open, and if all the sweets go, it means yes. If no sweets go, it means no. And if it's just partial, then it means maybe. So Vimalananda used to do that. I discovered the temple. It's unfortunately a temple that the Mughals and all that paid a lot of attention to, so it's all in very broken condition. Everything is shattered. But the original Shiva Lingam just thrums and vibrates with power. It is one of those extraordinary things. And the answers are 100% accurate. It is amazing. It is just amazing. Now I have kind of basically surrendered to God, so I don't ask for answers. Will this happen? Won't that happen? But I can tell you there is a place where you will get guaranteed answers.
I'd rather go with that. If it thrums and vibrates.
So you can do many things. You see, if you look at a lingam, if you look at, and you are in a little stage of yoga, you can look at a lingam and you can say the quality of the yogi who established it. Now the Ujjain Mahakaleshwar lingam, where they don't do abhishek with doodh, they do the abhishek with human ash. Yeah, bhasmarti. Yeah. Every day they bring a freshly cremated person's ashes and it is still hot. Sometimes the pujari can't hold it because the ashes are still hot and they shake it over the Shiva Lingam. Now that is one of the most ancient. It is maybe 6,000, 7,000 years old, that lingam. And it is just one tiger of a Shiva Lingam. It's just one uncompromising, hard kind of. So whoever was the yogi was an aghori, only he would have established that. So depending on, and the part of the prasad is to offer rum, so from the Devasam board, from the actual temple organization, the mandir, you can buy rum to offer as. That's because you can do certain things with alcohol if you know. Yogis know what to do with alcohol and how to remove the sting out of it. Now most people don't, which is why alcohol ends up destroying the person. But yogis know what to do with it. So from the fact that they use the ash and from the fact that they offer the alcohol, you know what kind of sadhana is going on there. So if that is not your path, don't go there. You can go and take the blessings and come away because you will get the blessing. But it is not something that you will engage with. It is not something that you will develop a relationship with. Because it might not be, unless you are in a Ghora yourself. And now there is some stupid anti-superstition bill coming up, which is seeking to outlaw Aghoris. I mean, exactly, what nonsense, and when will Hindus just stick up for our own culture? Yeah? Who are these people with these so-called rationalist nonsense? What do they know?